Winnie Byanyima, the wife to the incarcerated opposition stalwart Dr. Kizza Besigye, was asked, "Are you considering running for the 2026 election as presidential candidate?" And she said, "I'll leave you continue speculating."
Are you considering to pick nomination forms to lead this country?
You know what? I'm not going to answer your question.
Oh.
Because I would rather that you continue to speculate.
Okay. A very talented and professional journalist, Solomon Saranja, asked the question once again, do you think, or are you going to be running for the presidency in 2026? Winnie Byanyima says, do not count me out.
I think that from your submissions, you're not ruling out running for the top job one day.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, don't count me out. I'm one of the capable people.
Oh boy. Okay. Now that's a sight to behold. I'll tell you right away. I don't think she's going to be running. This is me. Not even an iota, not a scintilla, not a modicum of belief in me that she's going to be running for president in the upcoming election. Zero. She could surprise me. But if that's my belief, why does she want to keep us speculating, not counting her out? That's what I'm going to be trying to explain in this commentary. So you all guys know the drill. Go on and subscribe to the feed. Like this video. Share what you think in the comments section. And please share it with our folks out there. Okay? That's one way you build this Mordecai Morisa live commentary. And that's the way you contribute to the Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Just like this introduction says right about now. Watch here.
You're watching Mordecai Morisa Live political commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
And yes, indeed. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching me from and at whatever time you might be watching me. So, guys, wonderful conversation between Solomon Saranja and Winnie Byanyima. They were talking about the continued illegal imprisonment of Dr. Kizza Besigye, Obedo Lutale, and other political prisoners, but she speaks about Besigye for obvious reasons. And Solomon Saranja was able to pose that question that she's been asked almost every time she has interviews. And I'll make my point categorically clear right away. Look, I am open to her candidacy. If she wants to run, please do. I'll be supporting Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, alias Bobi Wine, but I am open to any sort of competition. I think that's the hallmark of a democracy. And if that's what we want, really. Am I open to alliances? 100%. Would I prefer to see all these folks coming together to form one strong alliance to go after the Museveni mountain? 100%. But if they won't, please, if you can, engage and let the best candidate win. That's my strategy. And while I'm back in Bobi Wine, I leave other people to have a right to support whoever they may choose. Okay, let's go on and watch Solomon Saranja posing this question, and I'll give my commentary here.
Are you considering to pick nomination forms to lead this country?
You know what? I'm not going to answer your question.
Oh.
Because I would rather that you continue to speculate.
Okay.
I can tell you this, that I care deeply about what's happening in our country, right? I care most especially about young people and their futures. It saddens me that not the president, not his cabinet, not any minister responsible for youth or for labor, tells us, accounts to us.
You know, she's deliberately evading to give comments about Janet Kataha Museveni, Minister of Education and Sports Comedy, because of the chemistry that was between him and Museveni. Now, if she makes a comment about Janet Kataha, it might come off as some sort of bitter between her and Museveni, who used to be her darling. This is me thinking. Because she cannot mention how she cares deeply. And this is an indictment on Kataha Museveni. She cannot say, she cares deeply about these children, but she doesn't mention the ministry that is responsible, to shape the future of these kids.
President, not that.
Nobody.
Not the president, not his cabinet,
Okay.
not any minister responsible for youth or for labor, tells us, accounts to us.
For youth or labor.
At least on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, what they're doing to create jobs for young people. Why are they in government if they are not doing that? Every year, we have 700,000 young people who graduate.
Now, this is questions to Janet Kataha Museveni, okay?
From universities.
Keep going.
Right? Only 90,000 move on into jobs.
Now you know why she was deliberately evading to mention Kataha. Now she's directly addressing the Ministry of Education. Where are you? Where do these people go when they graduate and stuff like that? Do you do some sort of a follow-up? Do you even care?
So you have a whole more than 600,000 who go out to nothing.
I mean, they've gone to school, gotten their...
Yeah, there's a huge gap between the education output and the labor market. Have you heard anyone addressing that question in recent times, talking about it in a serious way, talking about our plan on growth engines that will create jobs for young people? Nobody. Almost 50% of all young people are either not in a job.
Okay, she goes on to explain that. Let's go here when I think she's asked the same question again, and let's see what she says. She went on to explain, and she really had a very good point, because when she went into explaining the policy issues with our government and stuff like that, Solomon Seranja was so quick to be like, hey, I think this is my greatest disappointment with our current opposition. They are more into politicking and sloganeering and using buzzwords, but they're not well conversant with discussing policy and ideals or ideologies. And she was like, hey, it's an environment. There's no way people are going to be discussing these things if they are being abducted, tortured, and killed, which I thought was very smart. Okay, let's go here. When she was being asked again, this is what she said.
Rule out coming to have, you mentioned that you can't work with people. You will one day work with people to advance these ambitions or these proposals that you're sharing with you. And therefore, maybe in the next couple of, you've said you'll keep us speculating, but I think that from your submissions, you're not ruling out running for the top job one day.
Well, I'm saying, don't count me out. I'm one of the capable people. We are so many.
That's some sort of a vague but nice way as a politician. I consider her to be, she used to be member of parliament. So that's nebulous and very vague. But it's some sort of a clear warning to those that are aligning themselves to be president or who have presidential ambitions to be like, hey, in your plans, make sure that my name is discussed. And because she has a constituency of people who look at her as very astute, professional, smart, and stuff like that, and with a country that has never had a female president, she says, do not count me out. So that's why she says that, her name will be discussed in, even, for example, if Museveni's government is toppled, she's trying to say, hey, consider me to be part of those people that will lead some adjustments and progress in the new establishment. I think that's what she's trying to do.
Capable people who could apply ourselves to turn our country around. But like I said, so many of us are discouraged. We do not want to put ourselves in situations where because you hold a different view, you end up being beaten up, you get in jail, No, I told you that Besigye never set out to be a political martyr. This is not a choice he has made. This is what has been imposed on him by the dictator, that from day to day he lives a hounded life. He's hounded. This place here might look nice, but we are ever surrounded by spies and all kinds of people. They often pay our workers to snoop on us. We are always, he's always worried about his life. This is not the life that someone with ideas to grow the economy, to solve political problems wants to live. But I'm saying, don't count me out. I will work with others when the time comes, and we will try to change this country.
We will try to change this country. And there's going to be a conflict right there because as the old guards are being looked at, because I'll tell you, many people look at Kizza Besigye, especially the young people, they look at Winnie Byanyima, they look at other people, more especially those that have worked with Museveni as part of the Museveni establishment. And transitioning power from Museveni's group to a group of these people I've mentioned, to some, would be a repetition of what they consider a mistake. But if it is done in a way that is democratic, I would open for it and be like, hey, now let's go into an election and, let's compete with ideas and see who wins. Anyways, let's go back here. She was being questioned about the continued incarceration of her husband and what she thinks of the 2026 elections. And she really gave a very, very
Dr. Winnie Byanyima.
Good. She made a very good argument.
Just call me plain Miss Byanyima. I'm happy with that.
All right, Miss Byanyima. So, it's really good to see you. And when we're driving into the driveway here, I was hit emotionally because I have had an opportunity of interviewing Dr. Kizza Besigye so many times in this very space, and I can't understand what you're going through as a wife to Dr. Kizza Besigye. How is he doing? I know that you've been, frequently visiting him. How is he doing in prison?
Right now, I don't know, because on Monday in court, he sent a letter saying he's not well. He's suffering from bouts of dizziness, and he couldn't appear before court. So I'm extremely worried about him and his health, and I'm going to see him after this interview. What's happening to him is a huge, huge injustice. It's shameful that our country, our government, our president behaves this way, that an innocent man is being held in jail now almost for a year. No case has been brought yet, and all because he's in the way of his political project to win another, to steal another election.
I'm glad you have to refer to it with what it is, to steal. There's no winning here.
And maybe to impose his son as his successor. Besigye is just in his way politically. There's no crime he has committed. And this has been his life for 25 years since he challenged President Museveni. And that's not him, it's so many, just him, it's so many other political activists also thrown in jail and forgotten there.
Exactly.
Just because they happen to oppose him politically.
I think if there's a lesson we have to take from the really ending Museveni presidency or dictatorship is if we have to rebuild from scratch, we have to do everything we can to empower institutions. There's no guardrails to sort of restrain Museveni. And much as this might sound like I'm accusing these people that were behind Museveni, they knew this man had no interest. And that's why I have immense respect for Dr. Kizza Besigye for having seen Museveni for what he is in 2000, right away started challenging him. But there's so many people that saw Museveni really losing track, and they continued feeding his hunger for power. Now, they are caught in between a rock and a hard place, because they've amassed wealth, but they have not reached contentment and satisfaction. Because initially, they wanted to topple the Obote and Tito Okello regime so that they could build a country that they would be proud of and leave it or pass it on to their children and grandchildren. Now, while they've been able to amass wealth, to have power, to do all these things, they see that when Museveni leaves, it will be a total mess and they cannot go back to fix it. So what does this teach us? To build institutions, not individuals. And I think that's what Bobi Wine told me when I interviewed him in Massachusetts. Empowering institutions, not an individual. And this is why a country like USA, where I'm presenting to you from right now, has been able to stand the challenges. I can tell you this. You can have an inexperienced leader, person from anywhere, and make them president of the USA. And that person will be in power for 4 years or 8 years if he wins 2 consecutive times. By the time they finish that 8 years, they are able to leave a country in a shape that whoever comes next is able to rebuild and doesn't have to really do too much. Because on even the Constitution itself, the fact that you do not go beyond 4 or 8 years, that alone is an accomplishment, a tradition that has been established. It's a constitutional tradition that can be abused, like we had in Uganda, the presidential term limits and the age limit. So that alone, that has been a restraint for so many people who are power hungry. It is even a shame for someone to hint on running for a third term.
It's very hard. It's very hard on us as families. It's hard on me. It's hard on his son. It's hard on his relatives. But yeah, that's where we are. And we will just continue resisting this entrenched dictatorship until one day we are all free.
Yeah. Dr. Kizza Besigye is usually a very strong-willed person. But, 9 months in there, is it broken?
No way. His spirit...
Yeah, let's go here. She was asked on a very, 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 very good question about the upcoming election and what she thinks,
a logical person. I'm a mathematician. I'm highly trained in logic. Logically, this is a project that will lead to instability.
Wow. You know, when you mentioned that, well, first of all, you clearly know that they have picked nomination forms for him. He's going to be coming back on the ballot. What do you think about his next quest for the next?
I've already told you that I believe that this election will be stolen, just like
The election will be stolen. Absolutely.
so many others. Look at their primaries. Literally every constituency, someone is challenging the result and saying it was stolen. So
Exactly. But that doesn't stop us from going, because it's usually those kind of times that, opportunities are presented. I think she was questioned about if she's had a conversation with Museveni, or if she intends to have one. And if usually when she meets him, what do they talk about? This is what she had to say.
as a method of work coming from the parties.
Winnie Byanyima, if you had the opportunity to sit and face Yoweri Museveni, president, what would you tell him?
When you ask me that, I do meet him.
What
And
do
I
you tell?
talk
Oh,
to
you
him.
do meet him?
Of course I do. I hold an international position. I work on an issue that is a serious issue in this country.
And that's what I usually think. There's a conflict of interest. Museveni is a friend to Winnie Byanyima, and I believe, this is me speculating again, that when they meet with Byanyima meets Museveni, they usually don't talk in legal terms, like, hey, why are you arresting? This man is not committed any crime and stuff like that. I think it is why don't you release this guy? What have I done to you? I mean, these were friends. Museveni was raised in Boniface Byanyima's home, father or dad to Winnie Byanyima. Museveni used to be boyfriend to Winnie Byanyima. So while she might meet Museveni for diplomatic reasons, I believe when they're having a conversation about the continued incarceration of Dr. Kizza Besigye, it's not usually in legal terms.
And I have met him to talk about the fight against HIV/AIDS. We support Uganda to fight HIV/AIDS.
Yeah,
so
but
I do meet
in terms
him
of
and we
shaping,
talk.
in terms of shaping Uganda's democracy, what have you spoken to his face directly?
I have asked him to consider a smooth transition
That's a joke. Well, you've done, but that's a joke. Really, Museveni doesn't care.
within his party. I've asked him that before. I mean, some of these things, when I have my opportunity to talk to him, I raise them to him respectfully. He's the president, but I raise them with him.
He's a presidential thug.
Does he respond?
I have respect for, I don't want you to quote me. I know now that I mentioned that, people will be like, hey, Monica, you shouldn't be speaking like that. Hey, I have respect for the office, but I don't have respect for disrespect. I don't have respect for criminality, for lawlessness, for impunity. I don't have respect for arrogance. I don't have respect for that. I don't have respect for thuggery lifestyle. I don't have respect for that. I have respect for the office of the president of Uganda. But if behaving like a thug, then I have respect for myself to call that out.
I don't have to tell you how he responds, because that's a private conversation. But yes,
I didn't know this. Now, see?
he gives me his own answers to them. But obviously,
No, but what do you even mean when you say you won't tell us how he responds when you ask him questions about transition and the peaceful transfer of power? That's you won't tell us how he responds because these are private conversations. What's private about discussing the future of Uganda, especially asking him questions that almost not, if not all Ugandans care about? How about you ensure the peaceful transfer of power? Response would be private unless you be like, hey, babe, kunama, reka kumbuze bibuze. Then that you don't have to tell us, please.
See, from what I've told you, I don't agree with him. I think he needs to do one thing now, which is to organize a democratic transition.
Organizing democratic and transition cannot be in the same sentence with Museveni.
He has made many achievements. Let me say that. And every time I say it, some angry opposition people get mad.
I think it would really make sense if every time you mention these achievements, you mention them.
Care how mad they get. I'm not driven by anger. I'm driven by a passion for justice. He has done some good things. He has turned this country around many years ago. And those achievements, some of them are actually irreversible achievements. But there comes a time when you must pass on the baton, and you can't just keep undermining institutions, democracy.
Yeah, if you undermine constitution, like what are these achievements that is established? If he continues to undermine the institutions, we don't have this. It's an institutional dysfunction. I usually want people to tell us, explain to me like a kindergartner, this is what Museveni has done. Not that I completely rule out that, he's not done anything, but what are those great achievements she's referring to? Anyways, I think I gave you the two interesting things that I wanted to mention here. Her response about running for president in the 2026 elections. And I think she even made a warning about what might happen to Bobi Wine. I think it was around here.
Is it broken?
No way. His spirit is not broken. Space for expressing different views, not out there in society, not even within his own political party. Violence has taken over. Theft has taken over.
Evidence.
That's what I'm saying. When you talk about violence, theft, the institutional dysfunction, then you talk about the achievements. Usually, the three things you mentioned outweigh any achievement that is brought. If you've really done stuff, but you've killed institutions, then those things won't stay if you leave power.
I know that this case is in court, but the state
Not if, but when.
Says that he needs to face the full hand of the law for treason.
I can tell you for sure, I am very sure of this, that Dr. Besigye has not committed treason, never thought of committing treason. He's an innocent man being held there, facing trumped up charges because President Museveni would like him out of the way as he goes out to steal the next election. And that's not just about him. Look at other political opponents. Look at Bobi Wine, this young man with strong and growing support across the country. He won't even be allowed to traverse the whole country and mobilize, because if he did, he would give him a bloody nose. He would win overwhelmingly.
Exactly. When she says that about Bobi Wine, and that's why there's been a deliberate move to abduct people around Bobi Wine, the bodyguards, then threaten his supporters. And according to Semuju, like if you watch the video I posted earlier today, Semuju said he's planning to only have 50 rallies across the country. So as a result of his health and his age. So if he's not going to be able to have more than 50, how is he going to allow Bobi Wine to have 51? So that's Museveni for you. What do you think? Go on and write in the comment section. Share with me what you think about Winnie Byanyima. But get ready for the 2026 protest vote. Regardless of what they say, regardless of what we might think, change has its inexplainable way. It manifests itself. What we've got to do is do our work and let the chips fall wherever they may. We can't be like, hey, this is what's going to be done. No. Get ready to vote for Bobi Wine. And let's cross the rest of other bridges that we've heard or that we anticipate when we get there. Okay? My name is Mordecai Marisa, and I really appreciate that you've been part of this conversation. See you when you see me.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marisa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.